Everybody, we will call the Benefit and Insurance Committee meeting to order for November 21, 2024. Jane, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Amber Brown. Mike Curtis. Holly Deering. Here. Mary Hickerson. Here. Brian Gaither. Commissioner Alan McAdoo. Here. Commissioner Phillips. Michael Smith. Steve Spence. Here. Sonia Stevenson. Here. Eric Tutobeni. Here. We have quorum.
Thank you very much, Jane. And before we get started with approval of the minutes, I do want to know that mention that Commissioner Carl Boyd is doing really well. Prayers are being answered, but he still needs your prayer. He's in therapy for his leg and that infection, but it's Chairman Phillips, if you want to add anything to that, please do. But he's I got a text from him yesterday. He's doing really well. He covets your prayers, and let me tell you something. Prayers do matter. Chairman Phillips, do you want to share anything? Thank you. So please keep him in your prayers. With that, Madam Vice Chair, will have you had an opportunity to review the minutes? Yes, sir. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes say aye. All opposed? The minutes stand approved. Thank you. Do we have anybody for public comment? No? Okay. Financials? Ed Edel.
Yes, sir. Fund 264 for the month of October. Revenue, $1,814,136. Expenses, $2,307,340. Revenue less expenditures, $493,203. For the total for the year, $19,227,201 in revenue, $19,303,000 in expenditures. Revenue less expenditures is a negative $75,799. For the 24-25 fiscal year, the revenue is $7,627,741. Expenditures, $8,667,543. Revenue less expenditures, a negative $1,039,802. In the 266 fund, for the month of October, workers' comp, you have $1,042.06. OJI, you have $71,298.40. The total for the month of October, $72,340.46. Year to date, for the fiscal year, workers' comp $4,457.13. OJI $329,551.92, and the total is $334,009.05. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Elam. Do we have any questions for Mr. Elam on the 264 and 266 fund report? We have a motion to approve the 264 and 266 fund report. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, if there's no objection, Jane, will you call the roll, please?
Amber Brown. Mike Curtis. Holly Deering. Yes. Brian Gaither. Yes. Mary Hickerson. Yes. Commissioner McAdoo. Yes. Commissioner Phillips. Yes. Michael Smith. Steve Spence. Yes. Sonia Stevenson. Yes. Eric Tutobeni.
Thank you, Jane. Item 5. Jane, you're back up again. OSHA report, please.
Thank you, sir. So I am reporting on the month of October 2024, where the total of incidents was 28, which brings our incident frequency to 230 for the year. Our total recordables are 172. Lost day claims is 38. Restricted day claims is 113, and other recordables is 21. On the next page, you'll see the claims totals per year. Then on the next page, you'll see the incurred dollars. The incurred dollars for 2024 is $1,005,630. Now on the final page is the breakdown of the Board of Ed having 20 injuries. The County General had 8. Of those 8, 3 were EMS, 2 were fire and rescue, and 3 in the sheriff's department. You'll also see on this time we have different is at the bottom of the page. You'll see we add a little bit of extra information for you. So on there, just to kind of explain, because it's really confusing between actual paid out and incurred dollars. So we put paid through end of reporting period of the current year's claims was $452,670. And then of our total of the claims, we actually we have 320, and then we had 162 of those are already closed. So out of the 230. Then at the very bottom, some have asked that we give the incident rate. So we finally got the numbers from the state and included the incident rates for 22-23, which compares the county to the state. And my report's complete.
Thank you, Jane. Any questions for Ms. Corbin? Sonia, you're recognized.
I was just wondering if there was anything that we in the departments can do. We had this uptick this year in claims costs. Is there anything that we could do differently to help with that, so that we're not having, I know watching for accidents and stuff, but is there anything specific that we could do?
I have been creating new PowerPoint trainings, which has helped. We've also had some meetings with different departments that's helped. But also our exposure has grown so much this year that it's hard to overcome that exposure of how many people are in the county, how many miles they do. But we do keep in contact with certain departments if there's issues, and we do try to make sure we get out training. We've had a couple things in the future that we're thinking about doing too. So at this point, if we need to, we do reach out to them.
I just didn't know if there was something specific that we at the department level could take back, to help y'all with that.
I could say the only thing is make sure that, we keep our training up to date once a year. And that's why I've gone through a bunch of training recently and have been updating our training PowerPoints to be more relevant, more interesting. And so I'm hoping once those get out, your department's helping me get them out. Once those are out, maybe that will help just renew people's, hey, this is what you need to look out for. This is to be safe.
Mary, you're recognized.
Thank you. Jane, just to kind of, for my simple mind, make sure I understood right, on the very back page down at the bottom.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, ma'am.
Of the current $1.5 million that we've booked, we've actually only paid $452,670.
Correct.
Okay?
That's why I wanted you to see those numbers.
Okay, and of the 230 that's been reported accidents, we've closed 162.
Yes, ma'am.
So great job, and I really like this because in doing what we do, we know that high number is booked, but it's not been used up or something. So by knowing this number, anybody on the street can say, oh my goodness, they're at 1.5. Yeah, but oh my goodness, we've only paid 452,000 of it. So that's good, and very much appreciate that report.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Anyone else have a question or a comment for Ms. Corbin? Yes.
Just to follow up what Mary said, if you'll look at County General and the number of accidents that we had versus the number of employees we have, it's truly astounding. Highway Department is 0, 0, 0, year after year after year after year, and that's amazing. And you look at fire and rescue and service.
Don't jinx them.
You look at our sheriff's department and fire and rescue and what they're subject to as far as safety situations day in and day out. It's amazing the performance that we have as a county. I'm not going to make the exact same comment as it relates to the Board of Education. I've had some issues with that for a long time. And I'm still concerned about consequences if someone creates an accident by committing an unsafe act. What are the consequences for that? There should be consequences. And I don't mean termination or firing or anything like that, but there should be some type of counseling if someone violates one of our safety procedures and commits an unsafe act. There should be consequences for that. simply because they're responsible for that accident. And so there should be consequences, and maybe we ought to have the Board of Education bring up to our safety committee their process and procedures as it relates to accident investigation and what they do as a result of that accident investigation. I'm not going to make those same comments about County General because they have done an excellent job. Risk management has done an excellent job with our safety program too. You guys are to be commended for that. Yeah, and just to piggyback what Mary said, super job.
So I'm going to take off, if I may, my chairman's hat and put on my mayor's hat for just a second. I want to second what Chairman Phillips is saying. When you have excellent performance like this, congratulations to Ed and his team for prioritizing this, and also to our directors and assistant directors and their leadership, understanding the seriousness about being proactive and having a safe working environment, and constantly pushing the narrative that it's so much easier to be proactive in creating that safe environment than it is to be reactive and having to pay a lot of costs associated with being careless, as Chairman Phillips was talking about. So, Director Elam, thank you very much. But also a big, huge thank you to all the directors in Rutherford County General who prioritize this, because I know they all do, and I believe that you have a good working relationship with them, Ed, and it shows in this report. So thank you very much.
And if I could piggyback on that for just a minute, the lady sitting beside you, she's actually the one that makes the calls to employees. She does the investigation from how are you doing medically, making sure your MRIs are scheduled, and getting people back to work. And so when you see this number, the difference in the number, a lot of it is how quickly you get somebody back to work, finding restricted work for them. The department heads and elected officials have really starting to turn the page to do a great job of getting people back to work. If someone can't use their left hand, well, you can wash a truck with your right hand,
That was your left hand.
That was my right hand, that was my left hand. Anyway, but my point is that relationship with the directors and the elected officials, and just saying, how can we get these people back to work? And that's where you see the biggest difference in the gap between what's incurred dollars and what's actually being spent.
So we are off script, but Jane, thank you very, very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that.
I would like to make a comment to Commissioner Phillips, Board of Ed. I did want to let you know that we did have a meeting with them at Board of Ed, I think it was about a month ago, and started a dialogue. And with that, I have created relationships with each principal of the schools, and I plan on going out to meet with them. So it's very important to me, too, because I do the investigation, I do the working with them, and so I take it personal. I understand what you're saying, and so I'm working very hard with the schools for them to understand, to get the training in, and to find out what they're doing to help prevent these.
Thank you, Jane. Any other questions or accolades for Jane Corbett? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept. We have a motion to approve the OSHA report. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the OSHA report, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The OSHA report stands approved. We're now to the item 6, the wellness report. Ms. Howell?
I just want to make the comment before I read these that these numbers are still premature. They're generally not finalized until December, so that's when we'll see the final numbers for this accumulation period. So that said, per this report, the total number of wellness credits earned is 3,192, and the total 3-point wellness goals met is 742. That concludes this report.
Any questions for Molly Howell? Seeing none, without objection, we'll move to the introduction of the new Cigna Wellness Coordinator. Do you want to introduce, who wants to do that?
No, I can do it.
All right, great. Thank you, Ed.
If Emily Lambert will come to the podium. And she is our new Cigna Wellbeing Coordinator. And she's got a program that she is doing Health for the Holidays. I don't want to steal her thunder, so.
Thank you, Ed. Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Lambert. I am going to be the new Cigna Wellbeing Coordinator. I am dedicated to Rutherford County, so I am solely here to help you guys and help your wellness program. We are currently halfway through our first initiative called Health for the Holidays. The first week we had a webinar called Feast Without the Guilt, and it's all about healthy eating around the holidays, specifically Thanksgiving. So if you've not had an opportunity to review that recording, I highly suggest that. Yesterday we also hosted our first virtual yoga class. The recordings for both of those webinars will be on the new wellness page that Molly put together for us. And that website is going to be rutherfordcountytn.gov. /wellness news, so it's going to be on the Rutherford County government page, and there's going to be a new wellness tab with all of the events we have going on, recordings for webinars, all great things. We have 2 more classes for the Health for the Holidays, with next week being Thanksgiving. We're not going to host one, so the next one will be on December 4th at noon, and it's going to be called Holiday Money Magic, and it's going to be all around stress-free spending. So this is a great one for employees to watch, to understand different ways that they can, still celebrate the holidays and not worry too much about the financial burden that comes with it. And then the last class for Health for the Holidays will be on December 11th at noon, and it's going to be a candy cane twist core workout. It's going to be a virtual core workout class, so if you're looking to participate that day, maybe wear something a little bit more flexible to get down on the floor and start doing your core workout at your desk. And then starting in January, we are going to have My Cigna department demos. So you can schedule a time for me to come out to your department. We're going to offer 15, 30, or 60-minute classes where I can come out and show your employees how to utilize My Cigna, the different resources that live in there, and just ways that they can ensure they're maximizing their benefits throughout the year. So keep an eye out for an email that will have a link to register for the My Cigna department demos. I'll also have a calendar link in my email signature as well. So there'll be a few different ways that you can sign up for those department demos. And I think that's all I had. I do have some business cards with me, so if you want to grab one on your way out just to keep at your desk if you guys need anything, I'm happy to talk to you about anything that might be specific to your department or just anything wellness related in general. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Lambert. Don't go anywhere. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Lambert? Seeing none, Ms. Lambert, thank you very much. We're excited to have you with us, and we look forward to seeing you regularly and often.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
We will now move to item 7. Molly, you're going to talk about a new hire enrollment video, I think?
Yeah, this is just an informational item that we're excited to bring to you guys. Much like the annual enrollment video that we had for employees during annual enrollment this year, we have a new hire orientation video that's geared toward our new hire. So it has a walkthrough of all of the benefits that they're eligible to enroll in, and also some information about what they need to know to enroll, when and where, and what they'll need to provide for dependent verification. So this is hosted on a new web page that we have put together specifically for new employees who are looking for information about their benefits. So that web page is linked on our website. It's rutherfordcountytn.gov/new hire benefits, and it goes out in all of the welcome emails to our new hires as well. So we have a video for 24, and we'll soon be putting up our one for 25. And just shout out to the OIT department and to Lisa Kay, who worked closely with us on this and put together a great product. So we're excited to bring it to you guys.
Yeah, Lisa Kay is pretty good at this kind of thing.
Spectacular.
She's awesome.
Yes.
She really is pretty good
wonderful.
at it. So
She is.
a hidden gem for the county on this kind of thing. So thank you for that shout out to her. Appreciate that. Ed,
And
you
if
wanna
I
say
could
something?
just briefly, this is a tool that if you're doing some hiring and if you want to direct the people, like, what are my benefits? It's a great tool to direct somebody if you're doing interviews and they have that question. It's, about 17, 18 minutes long, something like that. And if you direct them to that link, then it's also good for their spouses or anybody else that might be involved with that decision making. it's just a good summary for them to get it started.
Let me ask a question, if I may. Is this video for the potential new hires, or is it for the directors or those doing the hires to disseminate then to the potential? How are you disseminating this particular video, Molly, getting it out?
Yeah, so it's hosted on our website. So the particular webpage that it's hosted on that has the FAQ for new employees also has the video embedded in it, and it's sent out in every welcome email that we send to new employees about their benefits.
So this is for new employees who've just been hired then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect, great. Any other questions for Molly? Thank you. Without objection, we'll accept. We'll go to item 8, the Venerable Marissa Combs Smith from Gallagher is going to talk to you about our ancillaries. You know what venerable means, don't you? You're one step below sainthood, just so you know.
I earned that last month.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think as an update from the last meeting that we did, we had some good conversation after the meeting as well. And so our team got some various feedback about what needed to be evaluated, and we did that. We've researched kind of historically specific to your disability plan. There were 434 claims since January of 2021 that have been filed. Of those, 17 are active, 37 were denied. So 37 out of 434 is not very many that were denied. And of those, some were because there was no coverage elected in the first place. So meaning the employee didn't elect in the voluntary program to take that coverage and pay the premium. Some of those were returned to work in the waiting period. In fact, 70% of the 37 that got denied were because they returned to work during that waiting period under the policy. So we feel like that's a really good result for what we were wanting to evaluate and making sure that that's being administered properly. Also, from the time the claim is fully finished, meaning the application for the claim or the person who is making the claim has finished their application, meaning their doctor's information is in and everything, it's an average of 4.5 days before the payment happens. And you might say, well, how did you get a half a day, Marissa? Because the schools have a little different, they had 4 days on average, I think, for one of your populations, either the government or the schools, and the other was 5. So 4.5 days. That's where I got that. And in terms of the RFPs and what we're going to be doing there, the Medicare Advantage, that's not an ancillary, but the Medicare Advantage RFP has been prepared and is ready. The LTD, which is the long-term disability plan, that RFP is together with the group life and AD&D, the supplemental life and AD&D, and the basic dependent life. We turned all of those over to the Office of Risk Management this week in their, what we believe is close to their final form, if not being the final form. They may make some revisions in part of the legal review before it's issued, but it's finished from our perspective at Gallagher. Of those RFPs, the long-term disability RFP is for the part of disability that's when you're considered injured for longer, potentially permanent, right, 180 days or longer. That is where you can get 66 2/3% benefit for that period of long-term disability. The group life, we are sampling the cost to the county if you leave your current, which is the $35,000 paid by the county, or if you bumped up to $50,000 in coverage or 1.5 times salary capped out at $100,000. And that's on the group paid and provided for all employees benefit. Of course, there's voluntary on top of that. So what I mean by those two types of benefits that I just reviewed, the long-term disability and the life, is we are not removing any benefit whatsoever. I know that was a concern, and I want to read to you what we put in the RFP to be clear about that, which is, the county's strong preference is to align with the existing plan design while also evaluating the larger market. The county is not removing any benefit. The county is interested in evaluating possible increases to group paid life. Again, possible, we don't know what the budget's going to look like for those based on what the quotes come back, but the floor that we're setting is the current life benefit, and we're bumping up in the additional quotes we receive. With that, unless there are, I know one other thing I did want to say, if I might. Part of what we did learn, though, from the research of some of the feedback we were given, is that the processes that are in place for making a claim under the disability plan, for example, and the communication between all the departments and what the employee hears, and basically, because a claim has to travel from the employee level through HR, through risk management, through payroll, to the carrier, right? That's a lot of people involved in a process, and that's necessary. So we can't remove the people that are involved, and we wouldn't want to. Each part has a role. But we learned from that process that was very collaborative with representatives of all of those departments heavily participating, that we could improve the process. And we could do a little better job in employee communication. And so with our team's support, we have revised the leave form slightly. You'll be seeing a revised leave form that makes clear where they can check what their position is on their disability policy so that it flags something, and then a clear process after that. And then there will be a second form, if you will, that helps them contemplate how to use their benefit and gives them some FAQs or some frequently asked questions. One of the things we learned, I think there's a misperception that you can have an on-the-job injury and file disability, and you just simply cannot. So for anyone who filed a claim for a work-related injury, but they were filing it in a disability context, that claim will not be a covered claim, and that's straight out of the policy language. That's how disability plans work. Again, returning them to work, which you all have already talked about. So we did learn that, and we want to do a good job communicating those things. And so our next phase is to finish out a frequently asked questions and finalize that process. But we've been working on it diligently.
Any questions? Ms. Henderson, Ms. Stevenson, you recognize.
So one question, one comment. On the claims that you said, because it seems like it was like about, 9% for denial. Do you know?
It's about 8%, I think.
8%. Do you know how that, because I know this is also the county and the Board of Ed, which the Board of Ed has 6,000-7,000 people. Do you know how that from a claim denial basis would be from a percentage of county versus the schools? Did you break it down that granular?
No, because you all have been lumped together, and actually, I think in 2024 was the first year that they were tracking your claims separately from them, because at one point, there was no clear understanding of if you would remain together or not. Obviously, now you're staying together in the 1/1/26 bid process. So we do have the ability, as we move forward in time, I'll be able to break those things down a little better. But the average time from closure of claim to payment is where, that's the one element that I did break out by the two, and that was only for the last year, or for this, for the 2024 year. Everything else was combined. But again, it was 37 out of 434 claims over a 9,000 life population. So it's really small amount, yeah.
I was just wondering, because our employee population is about 1,800 versus their big, so I thought that might make a difference. Well, the only other comment I have is I unfortunately wasn't able to attend the meeting that you guys had and sent Lindsay in my department, and she gave me an update, and I want to thank Ed and Molly and you and Michael, and I'm not sure who else was in the meeting, but she said it was a very good meeting and productive, and I do think that this last piece that y'all are working on is going to be important to the education to our employees. And I really like the part that, we all stay in our own lane, and so they're going to be handling all of that stuff, and we'll just do that. I want to thank you for doing that. I think it will be very helpful. So
Very welcome. Happy to do it.
Any other questions? So I want to thank you, Ms. Smith, for addressing abundantly clear, and once again, the fact there will be no erosion of the ancillary benefits in the RFP. I know there were a number of constitutional officers that were here at this last meeting that were concerned about that, and I appreciate you unequivocally that the current benefit package is the floor, and any change would be an increase in benefit, not a decrease. So thank you very much for that.
Welcome. Thank y'all.
Don't
Appreciate
run,
it.
don't run off. There's one more thing. The next one that we have is for meeting dates, and you and Michael might want to tag team on this one. The meeting dates that you've got are regular meeting dates that we have. I think it's the fourth Thursday after the first Monday. But Michael and Marissa brought up that could we move that April 24th date to May 1st to give more time to study the ancillary bids and things that'll be coming in? So if the committee doesn't object, that would be out of sync with our normal times that we meet.
So, Michael, you're recognized.
So this is going to be for our chairman. I think you're talking about having those bids come back before this committee, correct, Ed?
Have them come back here, go back to purchasing, go to budget, and
The budget will need to be, our first budget draft goes before the budget committee on May 8th. So that's what's spurring this. So we will probably have to have a special called purchasing meeting like we did last year in between this revision and May 8th. So that's the reason for the, I guess, requested change, so that we can kind of make all that flow together.
So, just to be clear, the recommendation from Mr. Elam and from Michael Smith is to move the April 24th meeting to May 1st. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay,
Based on what Marissa's told me, based on what Michael's told me on the budgeting process, trying to make sure we get everything reviewed in time.
let me have that in the form of a motion, and then we can, with a second, and then what we can do is we can discuss further if we need to.
I'll make that motion to move the April 24th meeting to Thursday, May the 1st.
Thank you, Michael. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. Any further discussion on this?
One comment on that. The May 1st date is the fourth Thursday past the first Monday anyway, so.
Who's counting? Do we have any further discussion? For those who are calendarly challenged like myself, we're just going to assume that Chairman Phillips knew what he was talking about when he said all that. So, do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be in the form of an amendment to this, because we'll have to ratify this. So this is in a form of an amendment. So all those in favor of amending this calendar from April 24th to May 1st, say aye. Hold on, Ed.
It would be accepting the dates as presented and the change being made from April the 24th to the
You want to
May the
make that in
1st.
all the form of
Yeah,
one motion?
yeah.
Okay, we can do that. Then we're going to do it. So this will all be in one motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment and the motion stand approved. Thank you. Ed, other business? Do we have anything?
No, sir, that's all I have.
Does the committee have any other business that we need to consider? Yes, Ms. Mary, go ahead.
I do. Sitting here thinking about Marissa's follow-up and ending up on the volunteer RFPs that have gone out and everything, and no changes, which is wonderful, because that has been a problem that we have seen. But we want to make sure, I'm being selfish, that the highway department is made aware of whatever changes that are coming, because we are our own HR. Love you, hon, appreciate your help. And Michael, you too. But we do our own payroll, we do our own HR. And so we want to make sure that we're in the loop of whatever's being the changes, because we honestly have had some short-term disability claims, and we've had some that would roll into the long-term. So we want to make sure that we're not left out. Sometimes we feel like the red-headed stepchildren. But anyway, so we just want to make sure that we're well aware in the loop of whatever the changes are, so that none of our guys slip through the cracks.
So noted. Thank you. Any other business before the committee? Chairman Phillips.
Discussing meeting dates, I think this committee has met as far back as I can remember at 1 o'clock. Is that still the best time? Is it better to meet in the afternoon? Will that take some people away from their work schedules less time, or is 1 o'clock the best time?
I think when I first came in here, and that's been over 5 years ago, it was researched, and trying to get it in the calendar for an afternoon meeting, it was difficult. But if you want us to reevaluate it again, I'll be happy to.
If you've already done it, enough said.
Maybe not, if I can chime in, Chairman. I always like to make this, the meeting time and the date to be where we get the maximum participation. We got good participation anyway. So let me just, if I could, over the next 30 days in advance to the next meeting in December, if you will email my office, Joe Carr at rutherfordcountytn.gov, and if you have a suggestion for another date or time on the calendar, we can certainly bring that up at the next meeting if that's acceptable. If we don't hear from anybody, then I'm assuming that everything's okay. But if I do, we will be glad to take that under consideration and put that on the agenda. Mr. Tudabini, you're recognized.
Thank you. I do remember a few years back when this was brought up, and I'm available any day, any time. I'm retired. But I remember the debating that went on, and I believe it was determined that Thursday, 1 o'clock, was for the most participation. A lot of other times and days were suggested, and it resulted in people saying that they couldn't be here. So I was here when that happened.
And I want to recognize and respect that, but I also understand that things change, and I want to respect that as well. So if this chair and this committee can be more accommodating to the maximum number of committee members, we're certainly willing to discuss that. So if you'll contact the chair in the next 30 days, we can certainly address that at the next meeting.
Mary, when does the road board meet? We could do, no.
I'm fixing to gavel you out of order. So we're adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Elam.